Hello viewers and readers. Today we're going to talk about power banks. And before we get too into it, a little bit of a lesson in some of the terminology used here. We see this number here, this 10,000 milliamp hours. What does this number mean? It means that this battery is capable of providing 1 amp for 10 hours. And that is 10 amp hours. Or 10,000 milliamp hours, because a bigger number sounds better. Now, what is... Oh, so there's also this smaller number here, 37 watt hours. What's the difference between these two, other than this is obviously a much more marketable number here, right? Well, amp hours, it's a measure of capacity here. It's this capacity, but this is ignoring voltage. A battery doesn't put out a constant voltage. This is a lithium battery. It's going to go from about 3 volts to about 4.2 volts during, the time it's discharging. So there isn't a conversion, there isn't like a mathematical conversion between watt hours and amp hours. It has to be measured. And the other thing about this too is this 10,000 milliamp hours, this isn't really for this pack. It's for the battery inside of it. And again, we're ignoring voltage. We're just looking at this 5 volt output. So at 5 volts, we're getting maybe 70%. Under ideal conditions, we'd be getting 70% of this number at 5 volts. If we were looking at watt hours, we might get 80 or 90% of this. But, for whatever reason, that's how they choose to market it. So, let's look at methodology then. Obviously, charge all of these. Not really super important how they were charged. They were all charged with an IKEA charger. Nothing special. And they were discharged by these two pieces here. First of all, we have this meter here, USB. If I plug this in here, see, it gives us 5 volts, gives us an amp reading. Come on, camera. And it gives us a milliamp hour reading. No, that doesn't help. So this meter is able to give us quite a bit of information. Very, very useful, very handy. And we can see that this piece here is a load, and all this is doing is it's switching this transistor off and on in such a way that it actually shorts out the input here, and it's measuring that and doing it in a controlled way so that this appears to draw a constant current, and I have it set to 1 amp. So I just let it sit here and draw current basically until it shut off on its own. And I did this for all of the power banks in question. So first we have this Blitzwolf power bank. This came from Banggood. And this weighs in at 7.8 ounces. It has Quick Charge 3 in and out, and it also has a USB-C. This is the only USB-C one that I have. but it only gave us 5,984 milliamp hours, which is 60% of its rated capacity. A little bit short of the ideal 70, but spoiler alert, they all are. Not too bad. Very nice, very rugged power bank. Very nicely built. Second power bank in question is this Aukey one. We can see here this one has a button. The Blitzwolf doesn't have any buttons on it. It has a button that you actually need to click in order to turn the thing on. We have quick charge 3 in and out, and a standard micro USB connector for charging. And this guy is rated 10,050 milliamp hours, slightly lower watt hour rating than the other one. We're not really concerning ourselves with watt hours right now. And it came with this nice bag, micro USB cable. Yeah, pretty good. Also very solid, very nicely built. This came directly from Aukey. It was a warranty replacement for a different power bank. Aukey definitely very much stands behind their products, very concerned about customer satisfaction. Very good. But you can buy these on Amazon. Anyway, this weighs 0.4 ounces less than the Blitzwolf power bank. It is 7.4 ounces. And it came in at 6,520 milliamp hours, which is 65% of its rating. So it's ever so slightly lighter than the Blitzwolf, maybe just a hair smaller. And even though it has a slightly lower watt hour rating, it has a slightly higher amp hour rating. So again, more reason to advertise milliamp hour rating. Yeah. So both of these are very good. I have no problem recommending either of these. And next on the list, this is an older Anker power bank. This was purchased in 2015. Comes with a micro USB cable and a little pouch. We have micro USB input, and we have not quick charge. This is just a 2 amp kind of intelligent detecting charge. So it'll try to charge your device as quickly as it can, but it can't do quick charge. This is a fairly large power bank. It's rated at 10,400 milliamp hours, and admittedly this power bank is a little bit abused. It's been through a lot, and it's getting to be fairly old. So take that into account when I tell you this number, because it only clocked in at 4,519 milliamp hours. That's only 43% of its rating. And this weighs 8.6 ounces. It's big and it's heavy, which is, considering it's plastic, you'd think it'd be lighter. So at this point I'm going to recommend you get a power bank with quick charge. Next on our list, we have an Antec Mobile Products Life Bar. This is really slim, very thin. We have a 1 amp output and a 2 amp output. There's actually no difference between these electrically. The only difference between them is how they identify. This isn't using an intelligent identification chip like the other ones are. This is just kind of a older style of detection of telling the device what kind of charger it is. So an Android phone will actually charge faster off the 1 amp output. Again, micro USB in, battery indicator here. And this is a really thin, lightweight thing. It's rated at 3,600 milliamp hours. And it gave us 2,254, which is 63% of its rating. Not too bad. think this one came from Fry's Electronics. And then our final power bank, slightly odd one here, the Fuel Rod. This comes from fuelrod.com. These come from a vending machine in an airport. So you'll see these occasionally, and the whole deal with like this barcode on the end is you can deposit this in the vending machine, and the vending machine will give you a new, fully charged one. Interesting idea, but very tiny. Only rated for 2,600 milliamp hours. And I got 1,930 out of it, which is 74% of its rated capacity. But there's a caveat here. For you see, the electronics in this are not nearly as good as the other power banks. And I'll plug in the meter here. We got 5.1 volts. That's reasonable enough. But as soon as I plug in our load, we're going down to 3.9 volts. So this thing's way under voltage. So yes, it did give us that high milliamp hours reading, but because we're ignoring voltage, you know, it's not telling us that this actually isn't putting out a usable amount of power. Your phone will not charge from this. So that's not good, actually. It's actually really terrible. So don't buy these. Don't buy strange power banks from vending machines. Anyway, that's all for now. Have a wonderful day.